Good morning. Welcome, All Souls. Welcome to everybody who's here, our guests who are with us, those who are watching us online. It's great to be together on this Thanksgiving holiday weekend. See some folks who are back from out of town. It's really nice to see some students and others who are visiting family who we haven't seen in a while. So it's great to all be together on this Sunday. We have our affiliate minister, Reverend Gerald Davis, who is the minister of the Church of the Restoration Unitarian Universalist in Greenwood in Tulsa. And we're glad to have Reverend Davis with us today, preaching, delivering a message. And we have also my colleague, Dr. Nicole Kirk, who's with us. She is an author, a seminary professor, a church historian, and our program minister here at All Souls. And it's great to have her as well. This is The Point. It is our humanist service every week at 11:30, except every once in a while, we go to one service and we all come together to join together from our early service and our later service. And next Sunday is one of those Sundays. So I hope that you'll be here next Sunday, not at 11:30, but come at 10:30, and we'll all be together for one special service. I'm looking forward to speaking to everybody, and we'll have some special music, and it'll be a great Sunday morning. It will be followed by our congregational meeting, a short meeting where we're gonna decide on our budget for next year, and we have a couple bylaw changes. And after that, we're gonna have lunch, and we're gonna decorate the Christmas tree and decorate the church for the holidays. So I hope you can come next Sunday. It's gonna be really special. But here at The Point, we welcome everybody: seekers, humanists, agnostics, atheists, those who are coming from any background or any way of thinking, those who are figuring it out as we go, but all are welcome. And we join together because we have so many different ideas and philosophies and beliefs in this community. What we're joined together is by a covenant, which is a promise that we make to each other about how we will live together. And that's printed here in your order of service, and I invite you to say it with me now as we begin our time together. And it begins with the word love. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. Welcome, welcome. And if you're here for the very first time, I see our ushers have some gifts. They're coming down the side aisles. If you just raise your hand and until they bring you a gift, but they've got something for you, we'd love that. It's got some information about All Souls and some other things, and we hope that if you're here for the first time and you'd like one, you will take one. Wonderful. All right. With that, I want to invite our chalice lighters to come forward. Today, if you don't know, is World AIDS Day, when we remember the AIDS crisis and these two are with us. This is Dennis Neal, our member, longtime member here, and Becky Bowles. They're two members of our former RAIN team. It was a regional AIDS interfaith network. And back in, some of you remember, there was a time when we had no medicines for HIV and AIDS. And there were a lot of people who were dying. There were people suffering. There was also a lot of stigma back then as well. People didn't know much about it, and there were lots of misinformation and things like that. Well, there were people like these two and a number of others from our community and across certain other churches and religious communities who came together to care for those who were most in need at a time when they were being shunned and forgotten, but we're also going through a lot of difficulty. So I'm just, for me, you all are heroic. You're heroic people who did the right thing at the time when we needed it the most, and we're just so thankful to you. And they're going to light our chalice this morning.
As we light this chalice, let its flame remind us of lives lost, of courage shown, and of hope still burning bright. May this light serve as a guide of peace, calling us to justice and compassion. For all who live with HIV, for all who fight against stigma, and for a world where healing and love triumph over fear and silence. In this season of peace, let us shine this light as a promise to walk together, to remember, and to never give up on the dream of a better tomorrow.
Good morning. I am here to introduce to you the theme of the month, peace, and our theme of the day, which is interdependence, with a story by William Steig called Amos and Boris. Amos was a mouse who loved everything about the ocean. One night, laying on the deck of his boat on a phosphorescent sea, gazing at the immense starry sky, the tiny mouse, little speck of a living thing, feeling thoroughly akin to it all and overwhelmed by the beauty and mystery of everything, rolled over and fell right off the side of his boat and into the sea. "Help!" he squeaked as he grabbed desperately for his boat, but it evaded his grasp and he went bowling along under full sail and he never saw it again. There he was, in the middle of an immense ocean, miles from the nearest shore, with no one in sight and not so much as a stick of driftwood to hold on to. Morning came, as it always does, and Amos was getting terribly tired. He was very small, very cold, very wet, and very worried. And if things weren't bad enough, it began to rain. He began to wonder what it would feel like to drown. Would it take very long? Would it feel just awful? Would his soul go to heaven? Would there be other mice there? And as he was asking himself these dreadful questions, a huge head burst through the surface of the water and loomed above him. It was a whale. "What sort of fish are you?" the whale asked. "I'm not a fish," said Amos. "I'm a mouse, which is a mammal. I live on land." "I am a mammal myself, though I live in the sea," said Boris. "Call me Boris," he added. Amos introduced himself and told Boris how he came to be there in the middle of the ocean, and Boris agreed to take Amos back to his home, although it was considerably out of his way. It took them a week to reach their destination, but during that time, Amos and Boris developed a deep admiration for one another. Boris admired the delicacy, the daintiness, the light touch, the small voice, and the gem-like radiance of the mouse. Amos admired the bulk, the grandeur, the power, the purpose, the rich voice, and the abounding friendliness of the whale. They became the closest possible friends, telling each other of their lives and ambitions and sharing their deepest secrets. When the time came to say goodbye, Boris said, "Even though we can't be together, we will be friends forever. I will never forget you." "And you can be sure I will never forget you," said Amos. "I will always be grateful for you saving my life, and I want you to remember that if you ever need my help, I will be more than glad to give it." How could he possibly help Boris? Amos didn't know, but he knew he was willing. And with that, Amos dove off Boris's back and swam to the beach. Boris laughed to himself. How could that little mouse ever help me? Little as he is, he's all heart. I love him, and I will miss him terribly. Boris went back to his life of whaling, and Amos returned to his life of mousing, and they were both happy. Many years later, after these incidents just described, when neither of the whale nor the mouse were nearly as young, there occurred one of the worst storms of the century, Hurricane Yetta. And it just so happened that Boris the whale was flung ashore by a tidal wave and stranded on the very shore where Amos happened to make his home. And it just so happened that when the storm had cleared up and Boris was lying high and dry on the sand, Amos came down to the beach to see what damage the storm had done. And Boris and Amos recognized each other at once. "Amos, help me," said the mountain of a whale to the mote of a mouse. I think I'll die if I don't get back in the water soon. And Amos gazed at Boris in the agony of pity, trying to think of what to do, and suddenly he was gone. I'm afraid he won't be able to help me, said Boris to himself. Much as he wants to be able to do something, what can such a little fellow do? And just as Amos had once felt all alone in the middle of the ocean, Boris felt now lying alone on the shore. He was sure he would die. And just as he was preparing to die, Amos came racing back with 2 of the biggest elephants anyone had ever seen. And without wasting time, these 2 good-hearted elephants got pushing with all of their might at Boris's huge body until he began turning over and rolling towards the sea. And in a few minutes, Boris was in the water with waves washing around him, and he was feeling the wonderful wetness. He looked back at Amos on the elephant's head, and tears were rolling down the great whale's cheeks. The tiny mouse had tears in his eyes, too. Goodbye, dear friend, squeaked Amos. Goodbye, dear friend, rumbled Boris, and he disappeared into the waves. And they knew that they might never meet again. And they knew that they would never forget each other. I invite our children and youth to come with me to their classes, to visit with old friends, and to make some new ones.
In just a moment, I want to invite us into a moment of silence together. I think there's too much, chatter and noise, and even when we are silent, we're looking at our phones a lot of times. So I just want us to have a little break from all. It's kind of like resetting, like when you turn off your phone for a little while and you just let it kind of reset. Well, we have to do that with ourselves a little bit, with our brains and everything, and take some time in silence together. Before we do that, I wanted to lift up a few names of folks in our community that we're thinking about caring for. One person was Coach Reed. Some of you may know him. He was the founder of the Reed Foundation here in Tulsa, in North Tulsa. He just has done incredible work for decades in this community. He passed away a week before last, and of a heart attack. Just an amazing man. We partnered with him in many ways over the last 10, 12 years and his foundation. And even though he leaves a huge hole in our community, he also planted so many seeds that will continue to bring forth great fruits for generations to come. So we're thinking about Coach Reed today. We're thinking about good friend of the church, David Teagarden, his son, David Teagarden Jr., who passed away this last week. We're thinking about all of them and friends and all those who know the Teagarden family. We are thinking of Elaine Belcher, who died last week. Many people in our community know Elaine. Of course, we are thinking about all those who are living with HIV/AIDS and all those who have passed away over the years, and all those who cared for those who needed it the most, like our dear friends who lit our chalice today. And lastly, from our online viewers, Giacomo Tesoro in Italy, who's watching with us, asked if we would hold up his dear friend Iris as she struggles to overcome a devastating depression. So we're thinking about you, Giacomo, and your dear friend Iris today, and feel our love all the way from Tulsa, Oklahoma, to you. Let us take a moment of silence together. Let all this in, and whatever's in your heart and mind, feel your own heartbeat, experience your own breath, and feel the moment. Your feet on the floor, your tuchus on the pew. May all that is good and true be present in our lives in this moment and all through the day, the week, and the month ahead.
I personally have had to deal with some severe anxiety and panic. So when Reverend Marlon asked just to breathe, that's all I could do when I was facing some of those things. I would just breathe in and breathe out. I didn't try to offer a prayer. I couldn't pray. But I could breathe in and breathe out. And then that song that David taught us came to mind. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, and you can take that with you today. When you leave here, you can take that home with you. Lean on me when you're not strong, and I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on. Thank you. That's right. It won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. Thank you for reminding me. Beautiful, beautiful.
You just
Yes.
I just need somebody to
To
lean on. Well, it might be that you understand. Lean on me, somebody to lean on. Lean on me.
Say it, Reverend. When
Come on now.
strong,
Go, Gerald.
I'll be your friend.
That's right.
I'll help you carry on.
yeah, for
It won't be long. I'm gonna need somebody to lean on.
I hear you.
Hey,
On me, brother, when you
Yes.
need
a
a
friend.
Yes.
We all need somebody to lean on.
I just might have a problem that you
understand. We all need somebody to lean on.
lean on me. Come on. When you're not strong, I'll be your friend.
I'll be your friend.
I'll help you
Carry on.
for it won't be long. I'm gonna need somebody to
lean on. All right.
All right.
You know, well, sometimes you just gotta do it, don't you? It just comes on up and it just gotta get out. Well, church, I say church because you are a church. I know I get in trouble every time I say that. But you know, church means the people. The people, the ecclesia, the folks called out. So that's why I call y'all, whether you like it or not, church. Church, I want to talk to you today about interdependence. That's all I told Brother Marlon when they asked, what's the title of your sermon? I just said interdependence. Well, Reverend Gerald, is there something more you can say to that? That's enough, interdependence. I want to talk about interdependence because we need it right now. We need it because it is time for us to recognize all of us who are here. Recognize. So I thought, well, first of all, I probably need, because there's some folks that say, I don't really know that guy up there, to let you know who I am because I am called an affiliate minister. And some folks might say, well, what does that mean, affiliate minister? It means that I am a minister at another church. I'm affiliated with this church as well. But my church is Church of the Restoration Unitarian Universalists, where I'm the minister. I've been there since 1999. It's time to go home, I know. 1999. Well, anyway, Church of the Restoration is more than just a body of folk, church called out. We have what we call the House of Restoration because we have 4 worshiping communities and we have 4 nonprofits who all call the House of Restoration home. Well, the first, of course, in the worshiping community, we have Church of Restoration UU. We have the Humanist Association of Tulsa. Now, you might say, the Humanist Association of Tulsa, why aren't they here? Well, they're over yonder. And the Humanist Association of Tulsa, on the first Sunday of each month, they have the worship. And they do the worship at Humanist Association of Tulsa. So that's the second worshiping community. Third one is the Pilgrim Mennonite Church. Pilgrim Mennonite. Now, some of y'all may know Philip Maurice Brubaker and his wife Sarah. They're members of the Pilgrim Mennonite Church. And the fourth worshiping community is the Muslim American community. And they have Jummah on Friday prayers there, and any other event is there at home, Church of the Restoration. Well, we have our 4 nonprofits. They include the Greenwood Chamber of Commerce, the Greenwood Neighborhood Association. the North Tulsa Historical Society, the Tulsa Peace Fellowship, and the African Ancestral Society. So all of these folks are in the House of Restoration. And I just want to let you know I come from somewhere, you know. So, so that is one of the things that we pride upon there is our interdependence. We rely upon one another. All of those folks work together in some kind of way. That synergy that works rely upon one another. We had an event last winter where our water main broke and all water was everywhere. And we called on the people who are the House of Restoration, and they came and they mopped up everything and got everything good. And we still needed to repair the water main broke, and I called the southern region of the UUA. And I said, we have a disaster up here, and we need some help. If you could help us do this. And they said, well, Reverend Gerald, we're sorry, we love you, but we don't do water main breaks. We do hurricanes, floods, tornadoes, natural disasters. I said, well, it was a natural disaster. This, we didn't do it on purpose, Things happen like that. And they said, no, I'm sorry, Reverend Gerald, we can't help you. And I was saying, what? And they said, Reverend Gerald, have you called your friends? And I said, well, no, but I'll do that. And we did. And our friends responded. Our friends came through and we got the water main repaired. And we have water now, and we have all these good things, heat and air and all that stuff, because the people responded. Now that to me is called interdependency. We rely upon one another. And I called back to the southern region, and I said, you know what, thank you very much. We didn't think to call our friends, but we appreciate you reminding us about interdependency, being interdependent. So that is where I'm from, and that is what I believe in, and especially right now, given the fact of all the things that have happened since November the 5th, we are in a place where we need to be interdependent, rely upon one another. So that's the first thing I want to give you all, that who the House of Restoration is. The second thing is this interdependency with restoration didn't just happen when we say let's do this. We were, so to speak, christened to have that interdependency. And that is in our hymnals there is a lot of affirmations, and one of them on 576 is called A Litany of Restoration. That was written by Marjorie Bowens Wheatley, and she wrote that for us when we became a worshiping community. This was her present to us, a litany of restoration. And in that litany of restoration, it begins with if, because if is an important word. Not everybody gets it, but if you do, if recognizing the interdependence of all, if recognizing the interdependence of all, thus we strive. I know this. I know this. We strive to build community. The strength we gather will be our salvation. I want to say it right. If recognizing the interdependence of all, we strive to build community, the strength we gather will be our salvation. That is our litany of restoration. That is what we are all about. And that is what all of us should be all about. Because it is about understanding that we are not alone. We are part of one another. We need each other, church. If we don't believe that, then we will sit down and say, poor me. But poor me doesn't make it. We are equipped with what we need to make it happen. So you ask, you tell people what we need. You tell people what needs to happen, and then folks who will respond or not. But there's always someone who will. And that response is also, it's not just material things. It's things that help us get by. It's that spiritual part of us. That part of us that says, I need people who are thinking and loving around me. I need to have those kind of folk around me because it helps me so much to move on. Well, that is what we do. When you're interdependent, you acknowledge that that's what we need to do. Now, here's the point. The point is that when we strive to build community, the strength we gather will be our salvation. See, it is when we build community. Building community is not easy, as we know. You know, when you're trying to build something, it takes work. And sometimes you fail. Sometimes you don't get it done. But you keep on trying to get it done. And that building is what is so important to community. Nothing is just going to happen just because we snap our fingers. We build community by working hard at it. And when you work hard at it, that includes the failures, when the things fall. Now, I know politics is often something that makes us chafe, especially in church. You know, we don't like to talk about politics. But I can do that because I'm an affiliate minister. And so I'm going to tell you how hurt I was when Kamala lost. I'm telling you that. It hurt my heart because I just knew this is America is making that turn. We're going to be led by a black woman. And she's going to give us what we all need. She's going to tell us what needs why the cow ate the cabbage, you know. She's going to do that. And I was so excited about that possibility, but it didn't happen. And it hurt my heart. Because I said, my goodness, now I know my brother Marlon's going to say, everyone is welcome in this church. And not just, and that's good, that's true. It's true, it is. But I'm talking about me right now. All right? I'm telling you how I felt. And I felt hurt. Because I said, how could you do this, America? What's the matter? Why would you do this? Why? You know what's going to happen with the orange head. You know what he's going to do. You know what's coming. Why would you do that? But they did. Now, does that mean that I'm just out? I don't care, put my middle finger up and just walk away? No, I cannot do that. I am grounded in this faith that says love will conquer. Love will make it right. And I know sometimes things don't go right. I'm not foolish. I know that. But that doesn't mean that we quit and we walk away. That means that we double down and we bring in our friends. Come on. We bring in our friends and we say to our friends, I need you to help me do this, just like with that water main break. And it's like, yes, I need you. Well, here we are. And we can make things happen on the local level. Between me and you, we won on the local level. Yes, Mondo. That's right. Okay, back to politics. I'll put that aside. All right. But the point I'm trying to get to, y'all, is that it's not over. It's not over. We cannot just throw up our hands and say, okay, that's it. I mean, we may feel that way at first, but that's not how we stand because we are interdependent. We recognize the interdependent of all of us. The trees, the grass, the animals, everything. They know interdependency. They know how to be interdependent, and we do too. We know how to help one another. That's how we work it. And that's what is so important. That is what is so true that we have to rely upon interdependent. Being interdependent doesn't mean that you are less than. Being independent means that you called in the troops. You called in the posse. You said, I need a little help. Doesn't mean that you're less than. It means that you brought people in to help you get through this. Because we're all going to get through this. Yes, we will. We will make it. And it's not going to always be easy. We know that. We know all the history of the United States. Maybe you don't know the history. You're being told not to look at the history or read it a whole different way. But let me tell you, folk, I remember the history. I was part of the history, right? I was a kid, 13 years old. I was 13 years old. That was 1963. I was in the 7th grade. And in Sapulpa, Oklahoma, where I grew up, we were segregated in schools. So we all went to different schools, white schools and the black school. But if you got in junior high, in the 7th grade, 7th, 8th, and 9th grade, you got to play with the white players because we were bused over to the gym to play together, right? And then you had to walk home, though. The bus didn't. So we had to walk home. But you bussed us over to play in the gym. And so there we were. We were learning how to play basketball and playing with folks who were white, us black kids. Well, we played a game in Okmulgee, Oklahoma. And Okmulgee, Oklahoma is just down the road. And we played the game. And 7th grade was over, 8th grade went there. And so my friend Larry and I went over to the hamburger place where all the other players were going to get a hamburger. And we went over there, and we waited in line, and finally it was our turn, and we gave the order, and we waited, and the person came back, and she brought out 2 bags. And I said, no, we're going to eat here, like our friends over here. We need a tray, so we're going to eat inside. And she kept holding the bags. And I said, it's cold outside. It's snowing. I said, we want to eat inside. And she kept holding the bags, looking. And then finally, my friend Larry said, Gerald, let's go. And I didn't know. I was confused. I couldn't understand except that I got the bag, and we turned around and started walking out. And our players, our teammates, started laughing at us. And so we walked past them, went outside, and I was hurt. I threw my bag away. Larry said, give me that. I said, Larry, man, this is wrong, man. It's cold out here and it's snowing, and she wouldn't let us eat inside. Larry kept eating. I walked into the gym and I quit the team. I said, I don't want to play anymore with you all. Those were the bad old days, church. Those were bad old days that we don't ever want to see happen again. That was legal. Do you understand? That was legal in the United States of America. That was legal. What we were doing was illegal, playing basketball with those guys. That was illegal. But it was legal to say you can't eat in our restaurant. Now, isn't that ridiculous? But that's what our country, no, we can't lie about that and say our country never did that. Yes, they did. Yes, they did. They did a whole lot of horrible things that wanted to separate us. But I'm talking about interdependency this morning, being interdependent. It's saying that, no, that won't work again. You're not going to separate us again. We're going to have an opportunity to be authentic about who we are. And we're going to do that without going through any kind of problem that says, that's not allowed here. No, we're going to do that. We're going to be, it's not just sports. It's not just education. It's in everything. We want everybody to be a part of something that says, I think I can add to this. That's that interdependent, being interdependent, something you can give. So I want us to understand how important it is to have that litany of restoration on our heart. Because it tells me that's what we're supposed to be doing. We're supposed to be interdependent. We're supposed to be able to say to one another, yes, we can. We can build community. We can build that community. And that community has to be built. I'm not talking about something that, it's a wish. No, it has to be. That's our job, is to build that community. Now, it's funny. I'm reminded whenever I think about community and church, I think about my homiletics professor. Homiletics in seminary is the art of preaching. And of course, everybody wants to take that class because everybody wants to know how to preach real good, Everybody. I'm not talking about just my seminary that I graduated from, Pittsburgh Theological Seminary. Our most famous graduate is Mr. Rogers. Mr. Rogers' neighborhood. Right, Mr. Rogers wasn't about preaching, but he's a Presbyterian minister, right? So I'm telling you, it's not just hooping that most folks want to do. Folks want to be able to stand up and speak the word, right? So they hurriedly pack homiletics classes. And I remember my homiletics professor saying, that everybody was sitting down ready with pens ready, let's go. Tell me some stories about what I need to do so I can preach. And my homiletics professor said, let me tell you all something. Let me disabuse you of the fact that you think people come to church to hear you preach. People come to church because of the community. They want to build community. That's why people come to church. And you know yourself, when you're coming to church, you're talking to other folk you haven't seen or you have seen, or you're telling them what's been going on with them. That's community. That's what holds a church together, community. But Marjorie Bowens Wheatley is telling us that when we build community, the strength we gather from that will be our salvation. Not something outside of ourselves, but what happens when we build community. It is essential to build community, and this church builds community. You have all kinds of opportunities to build community in this church. The Justice League, I love that. The Justice League has all kinds of opportunities. Not everything is going to be nice. Not everything is going to be perfect, but that's the whole point of strengthening. The strength we gather from working to build community, that is what will keep us moving on. So I tell that story to tell you this, that this congregation and this place right here, my humanist friends, this place right here, you are the soul. Can I barely say that? You are the soul of this church. You are the soul because you are the ones that say, how about this? On the other hand, how about that? And let's look at this. You point the way to say, can there be other ways to see, feel, hear, and understand? Yes, it can be. And it has to come from folk who are rooted in this place. Now, when I'm talking about being interdependent, and this day is World AIDS Day, I cannot let this day go by without telling you a story that happened back in the 80s when AIDS was just ravishing communities. When it was doing that, I was the associate director of Tulsa Metropolitan Ministry. That's when Sister Sylvia Schmidt was the executive director. And by the way, the day of her passing is December 3rd. She passed in 2019. But Sister Sylvia was magnificent. She was wonderful. And she would say, Gerald, I want you to do da-da-da-da-da. I said, Sylvia, I don't know, Gerald. You need to do this. And she would say it in such a way I've never said no to Sister Sylvia. And so she said, the Regional AIDS Interfaith Network is getting started. And she put me on the board. I became a board member of the Regional AIDS Interfaith Network. And RAIN, that's it, RAIN was doing what was then, you think now that's all, but it was so important. People would not touch folks with HIV or AIDS. They thought it could be caught. You could get it from, so people were alone by themselves. It was horrible. And so RAIN started developing care teams. And this church was one of the ones that had a group of folk doing this. I was given the position of recruiting, and so I called every black congregation in North Tulsa. I called them and told them about the training that we were doing with care teams for folks suffering from HIV/AIDS. Everyone said, no, we don't want that, except one. Reverend Henry Collier from Metropolitan Baptist Church. Now, we know Metropolitan Baptist up there on Apache, but this was a small church just north of 36th Street North on Hartford. And Reverend Henry Collier said to me, yes, we want to do this. We cannot turn our backs on our brothers and sisters who have this. He said, bring this. He said, what time you want to do this? The day of it, we did. I went there with the care team that was showing them what to do. I was amazed all these black folk were there. that Henry Collier, Reverend Collier, had called them and said, yes, you will do that. You will. We cannot turn our backs. And they were there, and they did, and they learned. I will always love what Dr. Henry Collier did, because it takes courage. It takes courage to be real. It takes courage to be authentic. He didn't care that some folks would push back, like all those other ministers that said no. And I'm talking about big churches that said no. He said yes. He said yes to the truth, to the interdependent. He said yes to that. We all need each other. We need to rely upon each other. So that's where we are. That's where we are right now. We need to rely upon each other, because I don't know what the future holds, but I know I need you. I need all of you, and you need me. And that's the way it's supposed to be. I will be with you, and you will be with me, because we can overcome that which says you can't. Yes, there will be some times that we are down, but we must rise up. And when we rise up knowing that we have done it before and we can do it again. This place is a place of unity. We may not be all in agreement with everything, but one thing we do know, that love will conquer all. Church, friends, people, I love you. And ain't nothing you can do about it.
You just call on me, brother. You just call on me, sister. We all need somebody. We all need somebody to lean on.
So beautiful. And this message I'm going to carry in my heart this season. Reverend Gerald, thank you so much. I'm so excited about the announcements. I have to move our little lectern here, give myself some room, because I am excited about what's going on here on All Souls. But before I do that, I do want to lift up that one of the traditions of this people, this is us, as a reflection of our values, as a reflection of who we are, of our love and service, is that we give away the plate each service. And this week's offering is going to Tulsa CASA, court-appointed advocates. Tulsa CASA are volunteers who advocate for children who are in our foster care system and who have experienced abuse or neglect. So important. To help our finance team, I need to ensure that your generosity reaches the right place. So if you intend your envelope or your check to go to the offering, please write offering on the check very clearly. And if it's a pledge payment to All Souls and support this congregation, then please write church on your check or envelope. That will help our finance team. Well, Are you ready to join All Souls? I hope so. If you are, today is a great day to go up to room 203 at 12:45 after the service. Marlon, our senior minister, will be up there waiting for you to talk to you about joining All Souls. And if you're new or newish to All Souls, we invite you after the service to go on back out the doors to the left across the foyer, and you can go to Sonen Library and meet with folks, our welcoming souls, who can answer questions about our programs, about this place. We hope that you join us over there. Now, December is filled with lots of activity here at All Souls. You can tuck this in your pocket. There is a calendar of events, all kinds of things happening, and I'm going to highlight a few of those because this is a time, our December, of warmth, of music and traditions here at All Souls. One of the things I'm most excited about is this coming Sunday, next Sunday, I should say, December 8th, one service, 10:30 a.m. We'll do the service, and then after that service, we're going to have the congregational meeting, and you'll have read those bylaw revisions and be ready to go. Yeah, make that go smooth. You're going to look at the budget, we're going to vote, and then you're going to have lunch. Yes, food, lunch, and then it's time to decorate the church. Tree trimming, making this place beautiful. We already got started with the staff. We have a great picture we should circulate of a lot of staff making this wreath happen. It's fantastic. So I hope that you're going to be there next Sunday, one service, 10:30. It's a triple header. Feed your spirit, feed All Souls, feed yourself and your family, and feed the holiday spirit. I hope to see you there. Speaking of food, we have a problem with our ovens. Giving Tuesday, it's inside your order of service. The ovens are broken, and you know what? We like crispy potatoes here at All Souls. And so we need a little help to be able to purchase the oven that we need. So on Giving Tuesday, I hope that you send some money our way for the ovens, because I know I like a crispy baked potato. So help us make that happen. Are you a little chilly? You might need some Mythic Press All Souls wear. I ordered a hat late one night because I remembered that I wanted it as a gift for myself. And I'm very excited because I'm getting cold down here in Tulsa. And finally, my Chicago blood is starting to thin out. And so make sure for under the tree, if you celebrate, or other gifts this season, if you want to have it in time for the end of the holidays, you need to order by December 8th. Mythic Press, you can get hats, you can get long sleeve t-shirts, you can get hoodies. Oh my goodness. One of the most memorable parts of being part of All Souls at this time of year is our memorial chapel service. A lot of us get down this time of year. We're mourning, we're grieving, and our memorial chapel is a great place to gather with others on Wednesday, December 11th at 6:30 p.m. It's a time to honor and to remember our loved ones that we've lost this year. It's an intimate and reflective service, a place for healing and connection. For information on any of these events, always our website, check out the order of service, as I said, and now we will gratefully receive our offering for Tulsa CASA.
Rick Fortner.
Yeah.
Before Reverend Davis says some closing words, I just want to say, if you are visiting for the first time, once again, I'll be out in the Sonnen Library, just out these doors to the left. We've got some refreshments, and I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have about All Souls. And then also, for those who are ready to join today, at 12:45, I'll meet you up in room 203 upstairs. Or if you're thinking about joining and want to hear more about it, I look forward to meeting you up there. Today, hope to see you throughout the holidays. Again, next Sunday, 10:30, and we got a choir concert in 2 weeks. The holiday concert, all ages are going to be singing. It's going to be so fun, and all kinds of great things happening. So don't miss out on the holiday spirit and season. And with that, Reverend Davis, can you give us some final words, and we'll put out our chalice.
And now may the melody of our worship, the harmony of our coming together, and the rhythm of our goodbyes make music our living, that we may go from this place and live full lives with melody, with harmony, with rhythm, and return to sing our songs and tell our stories. And those who love each other were heard to say,
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.